So there's like this big difference between commitment and execution. People commit to things all the time, half-heartedly, and that's why they don't actually end up executing. And I think that, there are a couple of things that I think are really, really paramount if you're going to actually get a commitment to actually become executed and ultimately become successful. And, most people don't understand this idea of needing a vision, right? Having to have this idea, this unifying force that not only you can kind of gravitate to, particularly when it gets tough. Like when time is hard, you've got to be able to go back to like this long-term objective, this vision, this binding force that's going to, motivate you and pull you through the darkest hours. Because there are dark hours, right? And I think that where a lot of people like misstep is they have this vision, but they fail to make a good plan. And entrepreneurs naturally are not great planners. That's not where we're doers. We're not planners. And if you're a big planner and you're not a doer, that also doesn't help, right? That's where the execution thing happens. So you can spend all day in a dark room, needling away on your strategy and on your plan. But if you don't actually take action, what ends up happening is you never really test, right? You're never pressure testing this thing along the way. And what happens is, in this journey of, that you're as an entrepreneur, is you're constantly, testing and, going into a place with a tremendous optimism, and then the next day, right? Some days it feels like an iron fortress, and the next day it feels like a house of cards. And you're pressure testing and pivoting, but again, keeping that vision, as that paramount. So, this plan, how do you get from plan to success? Ultimately, I think has to do with taking actions on a daily basis, right? And so when you get into a consistent routine, like making sure that you have certain things that you have to get done all the time, maybe it's as simple as keeping like a to-do list, but actually putting on the calendar when you're going to do each of those functions. When are you going to make those phone calls? When are you going to work on technology? When are you going to work on strategy? When are you going to reach out to investors? When are you going to have these conversations? When are you going to have staff meetings? All that stuff has to be part of the journey. But I think way too often people just get stuck in either the vision or the planning or just doing without any sort of sense of direction. And at the end of the day, you have to get up and you have to take massive action. It's a lot more action than what you actually could imagine or think that it's going to be. But ultimately what starts to happen is you make a little bit of progress, and a door opens, a window opens for you that you get to walk through. And enough of those windows that open up, and you have a successful business, you have a successful endeavor, and you never know where that path's going to lead. Like when one thing's going to open up and for you. And I think that the hard part of being in the grind, like in the mix of it, is that sometimes doors that seem to be open up to this amazing future end up closing, and you got to go find a different door. But there's a big plan in play. And ultimately, you won't get rewarded though if you don't take actions against the vision that you've set for yourself, right? And that's it. That's the game, right? You need a vision, you need a plan, and you got to do it with enthusiasm. I think that's probably I think the hardest part, because some days you feel like crap, right? Some days are really, really hard. And you just got to lift yourself up, and you got to, and you got to keep staying enthusiastic about the long-term thing. And I think for me, it always comes back to the vision, right? If the vision is big enough, it's easy to get excited about it.